everything, you've kind of repeatedly said you don't know what this team's kind of made of, but coming off a first loss, going into an emotional rivalry game against a really good team, I guess, what kind of bounce back did you see from your squad tonight, and kind of what you kind of learned just in total?
I think I kind of learned what I was hoping I would learn, right? Is since this group got together in June, they've just really been a joy. And I think every one of them just leaned into this era, right? They were so proud to, be Hawks to the new kids coming, the returners. Everybody held, and we knew it wasn't going to be easy. And listen, no game is easy, and I was fully aware, even after we beat Vatech and moving on and got Kansas, how hard Tennessee was, and this in-state rivalry, and the Big Ten. My goodness, how many people are ranked? So I think I've done a pretty good job trying to stay in my lane and keeping them in their lane. Like, every game is really fun because we're doing it together, and I know that sounds coach-ish or coach-ease or speak, whatever, but I think they do that really well. And what we learned a lot in Tennessee is we learned how everybody lost. And I think when you learn how everybody loses, then you can kind of know what you have moving forward. And after I watched everybody kind of adapt and turn the page pretty quickly with a little bit of a chip, I thought, all right, I think we got something for this rivalry. But I was happy it was going to be at home, right?
Yeah. I noticed after, sorry, right here.
Hi,
I noticed after the game you put your hands together, said a prayer, kind of closed your eyes and savored the moment. Maybe you do that after every game, but I was just curious kind of what you were thinking and what maybe we just said.
Well, I do actually. I try to remind myself. I have a pretty strong faith, and there's a passage that says, "Give thanks in all things." So it's easy, when you're really on the happy wins. But believe it or not, I tried to utter, "Hey, thanks for Tennessee lost." It's just a personal thing, and I don't always do it. I didn't even know I did it intentionally, but I try to be thankful because, we get to do a game, right? And I put a lot of pressure myself. I'm sure Bill does. Every coach ever was. But if I can really remember what a dream I've gotten to do my whole life as a player and a coach, and I get to do it here, I mean, you kidding me? This crowd, and they sold out again after that fun era last year. So I just try to be thankful for the opportunity. And, nothing comes easy. I mean, that game, Jeff talked about it going sideways. I mean, what about the break? We get momentum, and then all of a sudden we go to the monitor, and it's a intentional foul with shots, and they get the ball back. Oh my gosh, I was like, holy buckets, are you kidding me? I have no idea if it was accurate or not. I'm just saying the swing. So yeah, I was thankful because it could have gone the other way, and they worked their butts off too, and they, could have got one on the road just as easily as we did.
Oh, and Coach, you just spoke a little bit about the atmosphere out there tonight, and I know you guys knew that this season was going to be sold out, this game was going to be sold out, it'd be a big atmosphere, but I was hearing, sounds and noises in there like similar to when Caitlin Clark was here. Just tell me about coaching or playing in this atmosphere and what you saw out there, what you felt out there from this crowd.
I think the blessing of me being an older coach is I have been in gyms when it was pretty silent and we had some pretty good teams. I played way back in the day. I coached at Drake, and we were blessed to build it a little bit there, and we got bigger crowds and here. And so that is one thing I will never take for granted. And it is just, honestly, I watch a lot of great teams on ESPN, and scouting games, and I see the sparse crowds. So when we get to have a moment like this, and I told the players, I said, Lucy Olson has just been so fun and a joy. Like the very first exhibition game, her eyes were like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And I said, well, wait till we really hit the game that the fans are not going to give up their tickets for, right? And so I said, you're not going to believe what it's going to be like. And when we got to hear this moment tonight, that fourth quarter, when we finally turned the corner, boy, that Carver crowd was there. So does it mean a lot? Absolutely. And I've gotten to be here with those eras, right? So now to slide over and have everybody slide over a chair and continue, I'm really, really grateful. And thank you to the fans, man. They helped us pull this one out.
Jeff, Crooks had 31 and 10, but there were some times that your host made it really tough on her, Hannah in particular. How would you assess the way you did defensively?
Well, I tell you, I mean, Audie is she's a great young kid. Let me tell you, her family, we recruited the heck out of her, and kid that works like that, and she's so big and strong. So people want to say, oh, she's big, and she's got a beautiful touch. She does a lot of work early. So I didn't go into this game thinking that she wasn't going to have 30. I mean, I was hoping she was going to be in the 20s, but I didn't think we were possibly going to shut her totally down. I think Audie's one of those posts that it's hard to double her, because no matter where you bring the double, that beautiful, like, kind of Dirk Nowitzki fade, she didn't do it. She did it a couple times tonight, but she has an unbelievable ability to step and fade, and the double, when you bring it, it doesn't affect it. Doubling the one that can be effective, Taylor Shrimno, when she was in front, right, and she was guarding the kid in the corner, if you're quick enough, when she's starting to square up, that's when Taylor could get it. That's about the only time, and you can't do it too often because they'll kill you. Right? I know they practice it, because you come for the double and then she's going to shoot it right out to a shooter. So I didn't put the double in the game plan, not out of disrespect, but I was like, let her have that. Let's just don't let her kick it out for all those threes that they can shoot. But I have a lot of respect for her, for sure.
Chad.
Maybe they didn't use the bench much against Tennessee. We used, I think, 14 substitutions we counted in the first quarter. So it seemed like you were searching. Were you searching, and what did you find?
In this game?
Yeah, in this game. What did you were searching for lineups, it seemed like.
Well,
What did you find late?
I think you learned, like, I wanted to get some kids into the Tennessee game. I think, it's easy, right? It's easy to watch the film afterwards, and it's easy to watch it at home and be like, oh, they should have played so-and-so. Why aren't they playing so-and-so with so-and-so, right? But when you get in that game against Tennessee was so incredibly different than I think we'll see. And it was just constant pressure mentally and physically. And so there's a fine line with your young kids, not just that game, but moving forward, what that could or could not do, and what I felt maybe they were ready for or not. And you kind of sometimes stick with the kids who have played Connecticut. They've played South Carolina, right? I do think we made some errors. We didn't get in some different combinations there. Tonight, I wanted to make sure I met with the staff and we got some good young kids, and we got to make sure we're giving them opportunities. But I think what's unique about coaching is you can go in and you have a pretty good game plan, but I think you really have to read it. You got to read it and feel it. And Sid hasn't played the four this whole year, but I just had a sense that, Audie, with the size for size, we were kind of losing that battle, and I wanted to throw it off and give her a different look with Hannah. And Sid's our dog, and she looked at me. I said, "You can do the four, get in." And so I think that was just, we felt comfortable, and I think what I like about this team, they're kind of like, step in, man, you got it. They're not like, what? You didn't put me in, and I think that was just. We could have crashed and burned with it, but it worked out. But yeah, I'm trying to find ways to get Aaliyah in. Can we talk about her three? That was a pretty big one, right? So it's a lot of minutes to get in different kids, but I'm really happy with how they're willing to share the minutes and step up when their number's called.
Scott.
My question's been asked. Thank you.
Okay.
There was a moment late in the third quarter, I believe. Hannah Stolke takes a charge, goes into the tunnel, comes back a couple minutes later, and you went over and talked to her, and I could see that you were pointing in your head. I think you told her that she did something that was smart, and then obviously she has a great fourth quarter. What was that conversation about, and like, is she, like, health-wise, is she fine?
Yeah, I really don't know what happened. She drove when she shouldn't have. That's what the conversation was like. There's a play we have to take advantage of size, and we didn't get the matchup we wanted, but she was forcing it, and I was just trying to remind her, to make that read, but mostly was remembering who she is and what she can do, and to start being that, and I think she responded well.
Dargan. I know you guys weren't worried about Sid during her recovery coming back. I know you guys weren't worried about her early, but even for a veteran player, how much did she need a night like today? And then you touched on Aaliyah, just how much, it seems like her swagger's coming out more and more as she gets more comfortable.
Right. Well, I think, Sid is in the best way stubborn. Sid won't realize that she was out 6 weeks. So Sid just wanted to be, I'm back, I'm good, we're all good, right? And I think kind of what we've been seeing is she hadn't hit that rhythm. And tonight, I think it kind of tripped over, and she was just, I think Sid really took it into her own hands there for a while and just said, okay, I got to make some plays. So I think it's going to be huge for her, but I think she often forgot that she missed 6 weeks. And, she alluded to the fact, like, it's kind of been unique with those big three, Lucy, Hannah, Sid, our most experienced players. They really haven't ever played together very much because Hannah was back in late September, and then Sid got back. Well, then Sid had her knee, and then we had the mishap with Lucy in Cancun with the stitches of the knee. So, but they're, veteran players, but, I think Sid really ignited us. So I was really happy for her because she cares so much, obviously, as a senior.
Mike. Referring to your response to Owen about the crowd and what you told Lucy about what the crowd would be like and so forth, it sounds like you were confident that the air wasn't going to go out of the balloon in terms of environment, in terms of fans, the whole 9 yards.
Right.
Why?
Well, I think maybe because I've been here 24 years, and I know so many of our fans. There were fans so many fans have been with us in 2000. They come to the radio show. I used to go to all radio shows with Lisa. You see them at functions, and, they've been with us. And then, this crazy era with Caitlin, but there were some special ones with Megan. And I think sometimes, I think we overlooked Megan Zara. I think we overlooked Kathleen Doyle's era, especially it was kind of cheated with COVID, right? Kathleen Doyle was a Big Ten Player of the Year, and we didn't get to play in the NCAA tournament or the Big Ten tournament. And there was a really great group of fans that were they were in that top 25. We're in that top 20. But then what was remarkable is, we have a kid that ended up being the Time Athlete of the Year yesterday, right? And she shoots from Kinnick, and she does it with a flair that's never before seen. And then this fan base, what I think I'm so nostalgic about is, man, they got rewarded to be part of that. And I didn't think they were going to all go away, because I think the way Megan played with joy, I think Kathleen played with, if you guys remember, Kathleen would get down the stance, and that was her deal. I mean, she was just fun to watch. And then this group of Kate and Gabby and Sharon Goodman and Molly, I think it's a pretty educated fan base. I mean, look, Iowa State's great. Northern Iowa's playing crazy great. Drake is always good. But our state, I think they support their program. So I didn't know if we'd sell it out, Mike. That was just an emotional, I was so thankful. I talked to our AD, Beth Getz, and I thought, man, I was so thankful, she's taking a chance and, in-house hire. But I didn't think we would not have a good amount of fans. I'm just pleasantly surprised we sold it out.
Kyle, wanted to ask about the defensive side of things. We talked to Coach Finley, and he was very complimentary of you guys' defense, particularly on the perimeter, which honestly isn't something that's been said about this team for a little bit of time. Just curious what would be your thoughts on what you guys did defensively tonight, especially when you go down third, 10, and to be able to lock down defense.
Well, I think we have some defensive goals that I reminded them we weren't hitting in that third. And that kind of, got them a little fired up. Iowa State started out pretty hot, and that was the problem. Addie Brown, I'm a big fan of hers. She went 3 for 3 in the first half. And, as much as you tell them sometimes is, I said, you cannot have a fake help to Audie, because you want to just kind of fake help, and then you lean, which you can't stop her, and then you're about a half a yard behind, and then you come out and you're going, so they're hitting. So their percentages were great. So the first half, they were hot, and then when they got some, what I call a straight line drive, we really weren't in our positioning, which is in the gap. You're trying to make it not look so open. So in the second half, we adjusted that much better. We were gambling a little bit, and I don't like us to gamble. I like us to play our positioning more conservatively, and we were trying to make some things happen, which didn't bode well for us. So I think the second half, we went back more true to our principles, and we were able to cause some turnovers. And then, I also, you wanted him to just kind of play, and a kid like Strimlow just play. She just, you can't practice what she did. That was a big play. Audie, she came and didn't she tie it up or steal it? I mean, that's just like, kind of like you just took it from their, Goliath, right? You're like, boom, I'm going to go, and then it just gets everybody going. And that's just kind of a feel. So I think that we looked a little bit more, what I'd like to think our defensive strengths are, we looked at better the second half. And then I think the crowd kind of, always escalates them a bit.
Last one.
Yeah, you've touched on it a little bit, but how does it feel overall to have Sid back? It seems like, just recently you were giving a conference and you were talking about how she's out and she was going through surgery and physical therapy and all this stuff just to get back, and then tonight she goes out, has a season high in points and threes. What's that like for you as a coach?
Thrilling. I mean, Sid is the most efficient kid tonight, I think. I mean, as far as shooting. Nobody with a lot of negatives, but she went 6 for 11, 3 for 5 on threes, and had not one turnover. But I think just her presence, and so yeah, we need her productivity, but I need her presence, and I think all leaders, you feel a little better when you're productive, right? And as a coach, you're like, you can still lead, you don't have to be productive, but when they get to be productive, then that leadership really comes through a little bit more. So I'm thrilled, but I'm just so doggone happy for all of them to experience a win like this, and certainly happy, for our fan base, and we got some folks in our fan base that are kind of struggling a little bit close to our program. So it just, it's not the end of the world, but I think that's great, and Iowa State fans can do it too. Is you can just. You get to do a sport where people can take their minds off what they're facing. So anytime that we can bring a little bit of joy and get some wins, it makes me really happy. So I was happy that Sid could really lead us, and I think today Sid was a big key for that.